Hey everyone, I'm TrackerTD, and today, we're talking about Sonic mods. Again. So, I made videos about my mod loadouts for Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2, and they went over pretty well considering they were almost immediately outdated. But it got me thinking. At this point, I've optimised my loadouts for pretty much every PC-bound Sonic title except for Sonic Lost World and Sonic 4, because not even modding can salvage those games. But there is actually a huge community who work on console games too, and I've spent some time lately doing just that, messing with titles that never got a native PC port. The game I'm looking at today falls somewhere in the middle of this. It is available on PC now, and has plenty of mods available, but despite that, it's not necessarily my recommended way to play the game. Let's have a look at the weird, wonderful, and arguably very messy world of Sonic Colors, the way I play it. Unless you were under a rock last year, you probably witnessed SEGA launching Sonic Colors Ultimate, a modern spruced up port of 2010's Wii exclusive 3D, or at least partly 3D, Sonic title. And by that, I of course mean you probably witnessed the absolute car crash of a launch it was. I played Sonic Colors Ultimate on the Xbox Series X at launch, and I was taken aback by just how badly they managed to screw up an open goal as simple as port a Sonic game the general public actually likes to modern platforms. Sound mixing was broken, with audio channels often totally dying out or the entire soundtrack getting muted. The lighting looked horrendous, and Sonic looked like he'd eaten a glow stick. Certain elements hadn't been adjusted in the move to 60 frames per second, outright breaking several things. I could sit here and list off the issues with Colors Ultimate for the entire runtime of this video, but I already reviewed it over on SEGADriven, so I'd just go and read that instead. The fact they charged extra for early access was the real icing on the cake, and it basically turned into a paid-for beta test. Good to see Sega still pulling that digital deluxe nonsense. However, Sonic Colors Ultimate brings Sonic Colors to the PC, which means, hey, the Sonic fanbase can just come to the rescue once again and fix everything. Right? Well, not quite. This time around, there was a distinct sense of ambivalence I felt from the community towards modding Sonic Colors Ultimate, even when it became apparent that being built on the Godot engine gave it some considerable potential in that area. Some of that probably stems from the fact that the game was, and still is, exclusive to the Epic Game Store. I personally don't care too much about this particular exclusivity deal, because I play Fortnite and I have the EGS installed for that anyway, but I understand people not on that train not being too keen on installing what is frankly a pretty crappy launcher. Above all else though, it's not and never has been the responsibility of modders to fix Sega's messes. Projects for Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2 may appear to revolve around just that, but I think you can make the argument that those are old ports of old games, and that much of the fanbase has now started to accept that the likelihood of a new, definitive port of the standard that you can now achieve with mods is just unlikely to actually happen. Colors Ultimate represented an opportunity to make a modern, polished version of Sonic Colors, and there's simply no excuse for the utterly shocking state it released in. There are mods for Sonic Colors Ultimate though, and despite everything I just said, the ones I tried out follow the pattern you'd expect. Gameplay and UI fixes does what it says on the tin, fixing user interface elements that got broken or arbitrarily changed in the porting process. It also adds an option to use the original live system, instead of Colors Ultimate's rather shoehorned in and oddly mandatory tail save feature. Environment tweaks, well, tweaks the environment. This mod alone goes a long way to salvaging the visual presentation of Colors Ultimate, and it's a lot easier on the eyes. The Remove Overlays mod disables the dimming effect that usually happens when you have certain wisps active, such as laser. While inaccurate to the original game, it makes it easier to see where you're aiming. The dimming effect is usually layered on top of the aiming reticle in Ultimate, another victim of the botched porting job. Tweaked motion blur adjusts the boost effects to look less strange, though patches to Ultimate since launch have actually made it so you can disable these effects entirely. Finally, Hyuga released a set of fixes for Sonic himself. While still not totally ideal in my opinion, He still kinda looks like he's got glow sticks shoved in his mouth. It does clean him up considerably, and in particular it fixes his animations. He looks less like a brainless wood puppet now, and more like an actual character with emotions and reactions. But that's everything really, and even after grabbing these mods, I didn't get very far into playing Colours Ultimate on PC, as you can probably tell from the footage. It still didn't look quite right to me, and the PC version also boasts some pretty questionable performance, at least from my experience. I'm currently running with a pretty good rig, but I get frequent stutters and slowdowns. To be fair, when it's running well, I do think it's the most wonderfully fluid Sonic gameplay I've ever seen. I recently upgraded to an 144Hz monitor, and Sonic games were made for that kind of display. But alas, that cannot save the visual presentation on its own, and I was fairly let down. Not with the mods or the modders, as frankly the fact they did this much is impressive and a generous offering to the Sonic community. But it's not quite a Dreamcast conversion situation yet, and I don't think it ever will be, as interest wanes further in trying to make Colours Ultimate better. Recent patches to the game have tried to help, but some of the fixes arguably do more harm than good. The solution for the audio channels dropping out, for instance, was to mix the audio channels down to mono and then back to stereo. You probably don't need a music technology degree to realise that's an awful idea, and not actually a solution to the problem. And so, I gave up on Sonic Colours Ultimate. The obvious solution here was just to go back to playing the game at a higher resolution on Dolphin, the Nintendo Wii and GameCube emulator, but that has its own issues. Colours may have been a lovely looking game for the Nintendo Wii, but a lot of the graphical assets do not stand up to higher resolutions, such as the user interface textures. In addition, Colours was a 30 frames per second game, with the available 60 FPS unlock code in Dolphin causing a few issues that could be problematic to mitigate, as the developers of Colours Ultimate found out, given they didn't even try at first. What would be really nice is some kind of easy, all-in-one solution that gave us a simple to set up, quick to boot version of Colours with spruced up graphical assets and effects, an improved frame rate, and the issues that the frame rate causes taken into account. Oh, it exists? I've been playing it for like half a year now? Oh, well I guess we're okay then. Sonic Colours DX, take the stage. Created by threethan and intended as an answer to the mess that Colours Ultimate ended up being, DX does what I think most people wish Sega had just done in the first place. Simply touch up the visual presentation of the Wii original without throwing it into an entirely different engine with an arseload of pointless guff shoved in. DX uses the Wii version of Sonic Colours as a base, and as such you'll need to provide a copy of the US release for DX to work its magic on. To be frank, I do not care how you obtain this, but for those with homebrewed Wiis and an American copy of the game, it may actually be easier to dump your own copy using a tool such as CleanRip, as opposed to rummaging through sketchy sites or putting up with sluggish download speeds. Furthermore, the popular NKit ISO format that's become common in Nintendo Wii piracy circles is not supported by Colours DX, so you could argue this incentivises you to just do it yourself. Once you've obtained your copy of the game and it's in the designated folder that Colours DX provides, just click the batch file to install and it'll get to work building Colours DX. Once it's done, you're ready to roll. But wait, there's a few extra options you can tweak before getting started. There's graphic options ranging from low to ultra that mainly serve to adjust the lighting effects applied, but the coolest feature included here is the option to rearrange the level order. For those unaware, Sonic Colours was originally intended to only have 2 relatively large acts per world, but this was stretched out to 6 shorter acts when Sega executives presumably shat themselves at the prospect of releasing a short focused game in a world that rewards drawn out slogfests. Bitter? Huh? What? Anyway, SKMaric did a whole video on Colours' original structure, so I'll pop that in the description as it's an extremely informative and well produced watch. Whilst Colours modding isn't yet able to reconnect the stages that were broken up into several, you can readjust the level order in the config tool so that you play through the stages that make up the original 2 acts in order, and then play these shorter mission-style acts afterwards. It's a great inclusion, though I should note that it doesn't affect Starlight Carnival. Apparently adjusting that world's order just breaks things, so it's untouched here. Anyway, once Colours DX is all built and you've set all your options, that's it. Just click the batch file you used to install it again, and now Colours DX should start up with no fuss. It's very cleanly done, to the point I actually have it set up to launch via Steam in a way that fits in seamlessly with the rest of my Sonic titles. And it's also a damn sight quicker than booting up Colours Ultimate on PC for that matter. In terms of what Colours DX actually offers, it's pretty much what I said earlier, a simple, easy to use means of playing Colours with updated graphical assets. However, it does not include any of Colours Ultimate's new features. There's no Rival Rush, there's no Jade Ghost Wisp, and no customization options. That said, all of these features were implemented in such a half-arsed manner that I can't really say I miss having them here, and frankly I think that the rearranged level order is a far more tangible change that's far more important to me than giving Sonic leopard print shoes. I think DX offers a solution that, while having a bit of its own jank at times, stays much closer to the original intent of Colours' presentation. Animations are properly here and accounted for, and there's even adjustments to stages to ensure that the 60 FPS cap doesn't break anything as it may do in regular Dolphin. In fact, Colours DX actually includes a custom build of Dolphin that is specifically tailored to running the mod. That is some dedication. I have noticed that certain post-processing effects can look a little odd sometimes, with what appears to be the ambient occlusion flickering in the skyboxes. There's also some meaty slowdown when lots of enemies are on screen that didn't seem to correct itself regardless of what video backend I used in Dolphin. But these areas are pretty rare, and I think it still offers a more stable performance than Ultimate stuttering on PC. One thing that is worth mentioning, there are reports of crashes in certain spots. Apparently these can be fixed by heading into the custom Dolphin build settings and switching wait for prefetch on in the advanced graphics configuration. I do remember having some issues with crashes a while ago, but I recently did a clean install of the mod and I haven't run into anything, so your mileage may vary in this regard. There's just one big catch with the mod, at least for me. Well, there's technically two, but one's more striking. First of all, the HD user interface mod that is included with DX is apparently outdated now. Conveniently, I only learned this after I'd recorded all my footage. It's simple enough to grab the newer version and plonk it where DX puts its user interface textures, but Xbox controller users will need to grab an extra file to correct the displayed button mappings as they're based on Nintendo mappings, and it'll also remove the DX branding from the mod entirely, which, to be honest, I actually kind of prefer. If that all sounds like an inconvenience though, I wouldn't worry too much. The included version of the texture pack looks fine, and I didn't spot anything I'd say looked unfinished, besides maybe the end of stage result textures. Although those are included in the newer pack, so yeah, maybe you should grab it. The actual thing that bugs me in the mod is Sonic's model, or rather, his materials. For some reason, his gloves use a much darker material than, say, the cuffs on his gloves, or his boot cuffs? Whatever they are. Either way, it looks sort of distracting. Thankfully, the installer for Colours DX works by adding in files from a modded files folder in the resources directory to a final packaged build. As a result, you can grab one of the other Sonic model mods from your mod vendor of choice and plonk it into the appropriate place within the modded files folder. Next time you build Colours DX, such as by changing the level order in the config menu, it'll include any additional mods you've dropped in. I used the mod Better Colours Materials by BluWolfBlitz and Eulian204. Eulian actually made a mod that flat out plonks the higher poly model from Sonic Generations into the game, but it requires a newly added memory expansion feature in Dolphin, and unfortunately the custom version of Dolphin used by Colours DX doesn't have that. The DX build of Dolphin is open source, so it could theoretically be added in, but I'm not going to be the guy that tries that, I'm afraid. I think the Colours model looks fine anyway. So in conclusion, that is how I play Sonic Colors now, using Sonic Colors DX with the latest version of the HD user interface pack alongside Colors DX's non-user interface textures, and with the Better Materials mod added in for good measure. It's a lot simpler than the ungodly huge lists of mods I had for SA1 and SA2, although the lack of a mod loader might make it seem a little more daunting. As a pointless final note, I really like making custom icons for things, so I made a custom icon for the included Dolphin build, since I'm obviously only going to use it for Colors DX anyway. I think it completes the look, and it matches with all the other 2D icons on my desktop. The artwork was produced by Yui Karasuno. I just threw some colours on it. Okay, I'm leaving. But wait, no, there's more, because also, I play the game in Japanese. There is no retranslated mod for Colors, sadly, and I really just do this because I'm so used to Kanemaru's voice after playing the other games that do have translation mods in Japanese. I'm not sure if a retranslation mod is actually doable at the minute, due to the file formats that Wii Sonic games use not being totally cracked. I could be totally wrong though, so if I am, I should probably get looking into that. You know, I just went 15 minutes, and not once did I go into what I think of Colors underneath all the visual presentation and mod stuff, so let's talk about that real quick. I know Colors has garnered a lot of ire from the Sonic fanbase for how the dialogue is written, and its ludicrously short mission acts, and the abundance of 2D gameplay, which, to be fair, I think DX's rearranged level order helps even the distribution of. But I think the game truly shines when going for the red rings, as even those mission acts become more in-depth and reveal some actually quite fun level design. A friend of mine joked that by this logic, Sonic Colors is just the Sonic CD of the Boost games, and yeah, you know what, he's totally right. So I suppose if you're not keen on CD's exploration focus, going for the red rings won't change your mind on Colors. But if you've never tried it, give gunning for those trinkets a go. Supersonic's arguably not all that impressive in this game, but I had a lot of fun just getting the red rings this time around, some slightly dickish ones aside. I think there's a lot of levels in Colors that shine without this focus too, of course, and you can pull off some pretty stylish stuff. Going fast feels genuinely fun, and despite Colors' reputation for starting Sonic Team's love of blocky stage design, there's a number of times that the level design lets you use momentum and slopes in fun ways to access areas or better your time, whilst obviously done in a different way to how the classics approached it. I was never too fussed by the wisps either, as compared to other Sonic gimmicks, such as a bloody Warhog, I found them non-intrusive and simply akin to any other kind of power-up. The drill is basically just Nights into Dreams controls, and I will never complain about Nights into Dreams, except for State Canyon, and like half of Journey of Dreams. Even with all this in mind, Colors is not exactly super high on my tier list or anything, but I do think it's a pretty fun time on the whole, even if it's not reaching the highest tiers of pure Sonic greatness. So yeah, that's how I play Sonic Colors. That's what I think of Sonic Colors. Sonic Colors. I do not know how to end a video. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to say today, so thank you for watching everyone. If you've got any suggestions for games you'd like to see in this series, then just give me a shout out in the comments, and I'll consider any suggestions that I get. See you next time, guys!